what a mighty, big, amazing, spectacular, ultimate Fancast Friday we have for you today. Of course, I am decked out in a proper shirt this time around. I don't think I have any proper Spider-Man stuff in the background, but that's okay. Here we are talking about Spider-Man 5 villains. Obviously, we think we know the villains of Spider-Man Brand New Day. We think that Sadie Sink is playing Shathra, as well as a possible raged out Hulk, as well as a possible Punisher, as well as there's a possible lot of things. We kind of sorted like Mr. Negative, the Hand. There's been so many rumored stuff, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to totally guess all anew the next Spider-Man movie. So after Spider-Man Brand New Day, whatever it's going to be called, Spider-Man Another Day, another bullshit, whatever the hell it's gonna be, we are gonna be fan casting the villain for the film. You guys decided on it. We set up a poll. You guys definitely voted for it, so we are doing it. You can never take down Spidey. Of course, I am your host, John. Lovely to see the people in the chat. Only D. Cole, but people are gonna hopefully come in a little bit later, but I also have Dan. Dan, how are you doing on this wonderful Friday? Are you ready to talk about Spider-Man?
Spider-Man! Yes, I cannot wait to get into this. There's so many cool names. I mean, the thumbnail is a work of art, if I say so myself.
Sure.
Love me some Paul Giamatti. Never, I crush you, I kill you, I destroy you. It's like, yes.
And people say my Russian accent's bad.
Hey, I'm just imitating Paul Giamatti there. So,
but we did a poll, and I knew that this would probably win. I mean, it was second place last week. We had a feeling this would probably win. However, what neither of us expected, how much it absolutely fucking decimated. Like, I thought maybe like Joe Keery, maybe because we talked about Captain Atom a few times. We're like, okay, like maybe nothing. Fucking annihilated every single. I guess I did not pick good competition this week. Because holy crap, guys, you absolutely wrecked. I think I said this to Dan when I saw this. I'm like, okay, what won? So I got to prep to do everything today. And when I saw that, I'm like, I think that's the biggest lead we have ever got. Yeah. I would have to go back for a while.
No. I think it's never been, because I'm
pretty sure it's the biggest lead we've ever had.
Yeah, when I saw it at the time, it was 80%, and I think it finished at what, like 76%.
And yeah. Wow.
I love how
Captain Atom barely just made it into the runner-up for next week, whatever we decide to do for that. But guys, you really want to see Spider-Man 5 villains, and I think I delivered for you. We got 5 choices as well as 3 honorable mentions. So I think I did some good work, Dan. I mean, you say your thumbnail is a masterpiece. I think my choices are masterpieces, but we'll have to wait.
No, I think
see.
So. And usually the thumbnails are a preview of what's to come. I will say
exactly.
You gotta appreciate that one, sympathy vote for Swamp Thing. They got 2% of the vote. So
yeah. So many Spider-Man villains unexplored. So let's see.
Yeah. By the way, just want to say hello to Enterprising
that have been explored, but how they can be incorporated into the MCU can be done differently. So we'll see. And of course, one that is kind of sort of on the thumbnail. I picked Black Suit Spider-Man. Now everyone's like, "What? What about Venom? Venom, come on, Venom." Hang on a second. Here's what I think they should do, and before you get your panties in a twist, just hear me out for a sec. So, I think they should wait for Venom, because clearly Venom is a big character. So I think personally they should do what Spider-Man 3 should have been is split into 2 movies. You have the black suit stuff in the first movie, and then you have Venom in the second movie, because Venom was essentially tacked on to the climax of Spider-Man 3. And then everything since then, the Black Suit was good in like Spectacular, the original animated series, all that stuff. However, at the same time, they just I feel like they've done Venom a lot, but I feel like doing Black Suit Spider-Man would be much do that first and then lead into Venom. So, with this, in terms of the pros, what's definitely for it is the Venom symbiote was teased in Spider-Man No Way Home, as we all know. The post-credit scene or the mid-credit scene, whatever it was, had Tom Hardy's Venom, Eddie Brock leaving a tiny bit of the symbiote behind, and that getting I think that got like I don't know if they did anything with that. I
No,
don't think
no,
they
it was
did.
just they just teased that it was on the
Yeah,
table
it
on the
was just
bar.
on the
Yeah,
table. I don't think they ever did anything, so
yeah.
it was teased. Um exactly. Well, I mean, it's been adopted mainly in like animated form, but not on the big screen. It is an extremely popular story and showcases Peter's inner conflict very well, and especially with how this and Troy Oboyo definitely 17 did a really good idea of this in terms of his college trilogy that he did on his channel. I recommend go checking that out because that's like pretty much how I would love to see the Spider-Man sequel trilogy be done, but obviously there are way too many good ideas, so Marvel won't exactly do that. However, in terms of what he kind of talked about in regards to that is like this is a very angry Spider-Man. Like this is like a very like we haven't really seen a lot of it. We saw a little bit in that ending where he was about to kill Norman was he was about to like without the black suit Tom Holland Spider-Man was gonna fucking murder this dude. So it shows that if you get that angry Spider-Man without the black suit, imagine what they could do with the black suit. That would be scary, and that could be done really well if done right. So that would be awesome. And in addition to that, Spider Man 5 would be released after Avengers Secret Wars, where Spider Man, well, at least in the original 80s version, first got the black suit in the comics. So, boom, it like you have this delivered on a silver platter for not for Venom for Black Suit Spider-Man to eventually lead into Venom for like a Spider-Man 6. That's what I think. With there is some cons. Knowing Marvel, they would probably just immediately jump to Venom because Venom is the more popular thing. They don't really care about the lead up, so they'll just fucking immediately jump to Venom. And maybe Kevin Feige wants time after the god awful Sony Spider-Man movies that don't feature Spider-Man, like Venom, Madam Web, Morbius,
Yeah.
Craven, all those movies.
Venom,
Maybe they want
Venom,
some distance
Venom.
and they don't want to jump into that. And then with that, the Venom storyline has been done to death. It's been like it's been done in the original animated series. It was done in the Spectacular Spider-Man series. I think it was done in Ultimate Spider-Man. It was recently done in Spider-Man 2 for as in the video game. It's been done in Spider-Man 3. It's been Venom has been done to death. And as Enterprising was saying, it hasn't really been done right most of the time. It just seems like they can't get a handle on Venom. So maybe they just like, hey, don't even try to do it. Maybe tease Venom like for fucking Miles Morales once they bring him in and Tom Holland retires from fucking acting, whatever it is. So I think there's a good shot at it, but there are some inhibitors that prevent it from going the distance. I don't know if you have any major thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, look, I think this would be a great way to go as long as they can find a reason for the black suit, within the realm of the MCU and the story of Spider-Man.
Right.
I if they don't go the Venom direction, then maybe we won't get to see this. Like I'm like Tom Holland is a dancer. He's himself. He's like
He is a dancer.
I'm a
He's
bit
going
of
to
a
play Fred
dancer
Astaire
myself.
in that biopic.
He's
So
yeah. So
he
I'm
was he
like
was Billy
I bet
Elliot
he could pull it
on the
off.
West End. So you
If
know,
there's anybody who can understand the assignment on doing the whole Bully Maguire dance, it's like Tom Holland can pull
honestly,
that off.
yeah.
So
Like I just think like there's
uh,
too much setting it up to not
mhm.
do it. like you have the Venom symbiote that was teased in No Way Home. It's an extremely popular story that a lot of people love, even though it's been done wrong a lot of times. People still want to see Venom in the black suit. And then on top of the fact that probably the most perfect thing is we're getting the black suit. He gets the black suit in Secret Wars. We're getting Spider-Man 5 after Secret Wars. That if it goes down the right direction.
Yeah.
That it's just too perfect not so like introduce the black suit in Secret Wars and then lead off from that with Spider-Man 5 and he has the black suit but then it becomes like a drug and blah blah blah. And especially with how Spider-Man 2 completely butt fucked the Venom storyline and the black suit storyline, they need to do this right. So I'm going to say there are some inhibitors that prevent this from being like
I think you meant to say
perfect.
Spider-Man 3, but yes.
No, Spider-Man 2, as in like the video game. That was done the
Oh,
most. That was the
okay.
most recent.
Sorry. Right,
Yeah, no,
right,
no,
right.
sorry.
I was thinking
Marvel
that, no.
Spider-Man, Insomniac
Right.
Spider-Man 2. Let's go Insomniac
Right,
Spider-Man
okay.
2, because that was the most recent
Right.
version
Fair.
of the
Yeah.
character. So I think I'm gonna give it Let Him Cook. I think it's very close, but I don't think quite there. Like
So,
absolute cinema.
and again, just to kind of establish the likelihood meter, we're talking like 1 is very unlikely this is actually going to happen.
How this is actually going to be, if this
and
is
then
actually
10
going to
being
become a thing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they've been building up to something along these lines for a while. Amy Pascal produces these movies for Sony side. Kevin Feige even kind of let Amy Pascal do most of that work and was more hands off at Brand New Day. So, but and that's because he's been focusing on the Avengers movies. I'd imagine that Kevin Feige will be more involved once we get past Secret Wars, like you said. So, yeah, they've been building up to it, so it would make sense. So eight is a pretty good act. I think sense of where the likelihood of this would be.
But not quite over. The next one I have is Rhino. A simpler character, but and a much smaller villain that hasn't been done proper. Amazing Spider-Man and Kraven does not fucking count. Like both of them were bit parts. The second guy was barely even Rhino, who's some weird dude with a genetic disorder. Essentially,
God, yeah.
It was just weird. So I want to see like a classic.
I crush you, I kill you, I destroy you. Come on,
a classic Rhino, whether it's a more of a robotic suit or a like onesie, like the original comic. So I think this character deserves to be done right, and it could show off Spider-Man's strength and power that many forget about. Because a lot of people, Spider-Man's a bitch, but Spider-Man is one of the strongest characters in the Marvel universe. So many people forget he is strong. Like, everyone's like, oh, how the fuck could like a 16-year-old kid fucking block Bucky? First off, he was Bucky, not the Winter Soldier. First off, he wasn't using all of his power, but he's like, whoa, you got a metal arm, and everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck? It's like, yeah, because that's how fucking strong Spider-Man is. Even more so, he is a fucking strong character. Rhino is a strength-based villain. Show off that Spider-Man is fucking yoked with how much power he really has. So, because he always holds back. That's the thing about Peter. He always holds back. He does. So,
I mean, in every version, like, in No Way Home, Andrew Garfield was saying, like, or his Peter says, like, after a while, I just, like, stopped pulling my punches, and I just, just let the rage take over. I think that's something along those lines. And Peter Parker, even like Tom Holland's Peter Parker, John, we've talked about this, like,
right.
The villains in the MCU so far that he's faced off against, minus Thanos, I don't even know if that really counts because it's an Avengers movie. They've all been very tech focused in most ways. They don't really.
They've had a mech suit in the Insomniac Spider-Man game, the first one. So, yeah.
But like Tom Holland Spider-Man hasn't really come up against somebody who's going to try to beat him with just brute force, Like even in No Way Home with all the villains that they brought back from the previous, Spider-Man iterations, none of them really challenged, maybe other than is it the Lizard called, like the one from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie? And that we didn't really see much of him. So between Doc Ock and the Goblin, or Green Goblin, and certainly the MCU, like with why am I forgetting right now? The one that Jake Gyllenhaal played. Why am I forgetting right? The Mysterio. Mysterio and Scorpion, Michael Keaton's Scorpion. None of them were more powerful, like physically, like more powerful than Spider-Man. So
Right.
that would be great. We talked about it, like this was the conversation all the time back in the days of the Arrowverse. We are like, oh yeah, Barry Allen is always not the fastest man alive. So like the shtick got old after a while because like every villain was faster than him, and that's what the season was about. But there are other iterations where, like in the Arrowverse, we would talk about like, oh, we now have a villain that's going to challenge our main character in a different way because he's not just going to be the anti version of the character. And I think with the Rhino, depending on how they go about executing it, you could really kind of play to that difference, like in terms of how can you make this villain
Mm-hmm.
stand out from every other villain we have seen before. Now again, we don't know all the villains necessarily we're going to see in Spider-Man Brand New Day just yet when we're doing this, but we do know the majority of them are not going to be anything like the Rhino, and I don't think we're going to see the Rhino. He's not
Right.
even one of the
Yeah,
ones
I
there's
mean,
been rumored.
plus
So
in terms of the
yeah,
cons, it was recently done in Craven,
yeah,
and not very well. So Feige might not want them to do it, and might not want that character done. And he's not really sustainable for an entire movie. Like he's not a sustainable villain for an entire movie. He's just like kind of there. Like I think he would be good as like a henchman villain, as sort of like like okay here, like Tombstone sends fucking Rhino off to fucking kill Spider-Man. Like that's like kind of it. But I'd like to see him like done right at least once, rather than like random bald guy at beginning and guy in god awful looking Rhino mech suit at the end, and then dude with a backpack and wearing pants and
uh,
has a genetic disorder. Like it just, I don't know, it's just fucking ridiculous. So
again, I crush you, I kill you, I destroy you. I just need that clip like somewhere ready to go. It's just so I
So I
love that.
think I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say kind of, sort of, maybe. Like I could see it
Yeah,
happen as sort of like a bit villain, but I'd like to see Rhino done right at least once, like rather
yeah,
than the garbage we got in Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Craven. So that's just like
I
my
agree. Yeah, yep.
own. So with the next villain, speaking of Hobgoblin. So enterprisingly called it,
Hey.
so Hobgoblin is my next villain. He was kind of sort of teased with Ned Leeds in Spider-Man No Way Home,
Mm-hmm.
because there was the whole scene of him like, I will never become a villain and try to kill you type thing. And so that, yeah, like that's, if they're teasing it, then that's the tease.
Yeah.
And if the thing is, if they want to avoid Green Goblin, since Green Goblin has been done a bunch of times before, and they just had Willem Dafoe in No Way Home, then Hobgoblin is a perfect substitute because he's essentially Green Goblin, but like not. And it
Mm-hmm.
could make for a very different Spider-Man movie with how Hobgoblin is portrayed in the comics. So there was some editorial hullabaloo. So essentially, the guy who made the character wanted this guy named Roderick Kingsley to become Hobgoblin. So I think he was like a fashion designer or something. He like took the Green Goblin serum, perfected it, and essentially was, you know, a goblin, but like without the insanity of that character. So, and I think he was like Mary Jane Watson's like former boss. But the thing is, he left. The guy who I think made the character, or the editor in chief, left. So then they're like, make Ned Leeds the fucking Hobgoblin because sure. Um, and then so he was the Hobgoblin for like a decade, and then when the guy came back, the creator of the character, or editor in chief, I think it was the creator of the character, came back to Marvel. He was like, "No, that's fucking stupid. Like, what are you doing?" So he made it so that a bunch of people were brainwashed into decoys to be for the actual real Hobgoblin, Broderick Kingsley. So I think what they could do is make it almost like a murder mystery. I think that could be really cool. Is like somebody's killing, and the thing is, every time they get close, it's a decoy. And the first decoy could be Ned Leeds. And since and you could make this work without having them like get their memories back and really feed into that, um is like, so Ned Leeds doesn't know who Peter Parker is, doesn't know who Spider-Man is, and he's brainwashed into becoming this decoy for the real Hobgoblin. So then what you can do with that is essentially, um since he knows Ned doesn't know him. So Peter knows he knows Ned would never do this. So he's like, okay, something is up and I need to figure it out. Showcasing Peter's smart, because remember, Peter is a smart character. Far From Home won't make you believe that, but he is. So with that, have it be like almost like a murder investigation, like showcase the smarts of Spidey, but like Hobgoblin is taunting him. Could be a real one, could be a decoy. Maybe Harry Osborn shows up. He's one of the decoys in the comics, so this is the first time we see Harry Osborn, and that could lead him into becoming Green Goblin for a future movie. Maybe we'll see about that. But this could be a really interesting way of like a very different way of doing a Spider-Man movie. Like have it be more of like this weird murder investigation of uncovering these decoys to find the real Hobgoblin. And you could have like a whole marketing thing of like a police lineup of like Ned leads like three other guys, be like, who's the real Hobgoblin? Who's Hobgoblin? And like have it like the whole marketing is like, who's the real guy? Obviously, comic fans will know it's Roderick Kingsley, or they could pull out the rug from under us and do something totally different. So that would be really cool. Like have this whole murder investigation. That would be awesome. However, the problem with that is the cons is that it could have just been a offhanded joke in the movie. You know, it could have just been like, "Oh, I will never become a villain and betray you and blah blah blah." And it's just like a wink, a nod, and an Easter egg to the fact that he was brainwashed in the comics to become Hobgoblin, even though he was only brainwashed. So, with that, Hobgoblin does rely on Green Goblin for his backstory, so things might get more confusing if like Hobgoblin was the original creator of the Goblin Serum and then Green Goblin did it, or like it might become confusing. They'll probably do something to, if Hobgoblin is a villain, they'll probably find a way around it, but it might get more confusing and might not be that great. However, I still think you could do something really unique by having Hobgoblin be the villain. But that's just my opinion. But, anyway.
Yeah,
Dan, I
no,
don't know if
look,
you got thoughts on this. I kind of went on a filibuster there a little bit.
no, I think you're kind of nailing it mostly on this because, like you said, the biggest concern I would have, well, considering they did like a very meta narrative with Spider-Man Brand New Day, sorry, No Way Home, you could get away with doing it in a way where you have Hobgoblin before Green Goblin. Like, the MCU is never kind of stuck to the comics, by the letter. They kind of do adaptations, and they'll change things where they want to, and how they see it fit. So I could see it. I mean, certainly they planted the seeds with Ned Leeds. Like I particularly like the idea that he wouldn't know who Peter Parker is. There's like this like very there could be potential like tragic like connotation to it, similar to like the Winter Soldier versus Captain America fight from the Captain America the Winter Soldier before uh, Bucky kind of remembers. It's just you can really play that up for the drama and
Yeah.
stuff. But yeah, I would love to also see how the world of the MCU changes post Secret Wars,
Right.
because they're probably gonna do some kind of like retcon or many retcons where, like right now, the New York City skyline, like we know, like from Brand New Day got confirmed, because up until then, fans were like, yeah, there's no Oscorp, there's no Oscorp Tower, like that it's not there. There's no Baxter Building and stuff. Obviously, we know the Baxter Building is not there because like a Fantastic Four and their own separate timeline that's connected to the MCU to the multiverse.
Hmm.
But also in No Way Home, Willem Dafoe's character, specifically Norman Osborn, mentions like there's no Oscorp here. Like it's confirmed there is no Oscorp there. So there wasn't somewhere for him to go. There wasn't a Norman Osborn that he could connect with, or a Harry Osborn. So
Right.
I think they're gonna probably like bring those elements in. New York City skyline will look a little different. I don't know if the
Right. Of
Avengers
course.
Tower is gonna be still there or whatever, but like all those things. So I'm very intrigued by this idea that Hobgoblin, or just Goblin in general, whether it's Green Goblin first then Hobgoblin. We haven't seen those characters yet. Sony, there was a report recently that they're more likely to, or they're more open to sharing their characters with Marvel. So I think along those lines, I would love to see this play out. By the way, before we move on, I just wanted to point out quickly, there is a rumor report going on the internet right now. I saw this earlier today that Spider-Man apparently will fight the Hulk in Brand New Day in his
Yeah,
black
that's
suit.
been yeah, I've seen that rumor a
So
bunch too.
I don't know
Um,
how true or false it is. I just wanted to put it out there, but in context of today's show. But I think Hobgoblin would be a great pick. I'm gonna look at this as more like Goblin general, like could be Green Goblin first, then Hobgoblin, or the other way around,
well,
depending on
the
how
specifics
they
I
follow the
have
lore.
is like, oh,
You
because
know,
of the whole Ned Leeds thing. That's why I'm like
right?
kind of mentioning that of like the whole
Yes.
murder mystery of like who is Hobgoblin, like
I
that
I
kind of
think that would
thing.
be great. It kind of like threw me in terms of my mind the visuals for the Batman. I know Spider-Man and Batman two very different things, and the Batman's tone versus Spider-Man movie tones are also very
Right.
different. But in terms of a murder mystery, and that's also something we really haven't seen in Spider-Man movies before.
Yeah,
So that would
exactly. It
make
could bring
for something
something
very
new to the whole
visceral.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I would love to see that. I would love to
So
see it.
I think the likelihood is pretty high because of the teases,
Hmm.
and like Hobgoblin, we've never gotten them before, and maybe they want
Right.
to avoid Green Goblins, so Hobgoblin's the next best thing, is since he's essentially the same character, except
Right.
slightly different. So,
Hmm.
you know, I think plus it would be really awesome to see. But the next one I have, speaking of Norman Osborn, specifically only Norman Osborn, because I don't think they'd want to do Green Goblin. As you mentioned already, um, Green Goblin like isn't a thing yet, but Secret Wars he could be. So let's just keep that in mind as well as the current continuity we have right now. So with all this, a lot of people forget Norman is a formidable threat, even outside of Green Goblin. He's like, again, the very relatable idea of an evil billionaire. Guys, come
Hmm.
on. It just writes itself at this point. So you know like he's a formidable threat even before, like even outside of Green Goblin. He has the resources to make, maybe he has like some kind of Lex Luthor-esque plan and he just hates heroes, or maybe he supports Kingpin, maybe he's friends with Kingpin, maybe he's friends with Tombstone, I don't know. But like Norman Osborn eats that. The reason that he works so well is that he is a formidable threat outside of his Green Goblin persona. That's why it works. He's essentially Lex Luthor, but he can also be a crazy deranged guy who dresses in purple and green and throws pumpkins at you. So like it's it works. And he can work as a proper buildup before he ultimately becomes Green Goblin, if at all. Like he could just be Norman Osborn. He could just be evil billionaire guy, and boom, there we go. But they might want to eventually have him become Green Goblin because then there might be similarities. Like, oh, he's just Lex Luthor. What's the point? So, you know, they could have that as well. Like Spider-Man 6 could be like Green Goblin, whatever. And then the thing is, he has already been teased in MCU connected media with Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn being in Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And guys, I'm just saying, if you fucking put Norman Osborn in these movies, you better fucking get Coleman Domingo, because he was fucking perfect in that goddamn show. So make it happen, IRL. Anyway, so those are my pros to seeing just Norman Osborn, no Green Goblin, just Norman Osborn for the time being, just for Spider-Man 5. But the thing is, he was already in No Way Home, and they might want to avoid such a character. Yes, it was the Willem Dafoe version, but still. And as Dan already mentioned beforehand, Dafoe's Norman stated he didn't exist in the MCU timeline, which is the 1999 universe. And then with all of that, he's already been done to death. So why do him again? Yes, even though he wouldn't be Green Goblin, we've seen Norman Osborn a bunch. Let's not do him again. So I think it would be good to see, but maybe not the best. I don't know if you have thoughts on this, but
Well, I
that's
think there's the idea of like you said, Norman. We have seen a Norman Osborn. Obviously Willem Dafoe, iconic iteration. Maybe Willem Dafoe could play the like J. Jonah Jameson still being played by um why am I forgetting his name right now? J. Jonah Jameson, John. He doesn't get old.
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons. Uh, Much like J.K. Simmons is playing J. Jonah Jameson, coming over from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man to the MCU, different, iteration, but same kind of like, same actor doing it in a meta way. You could do that. Maybe Willem Dafoe coming back in it, or Coleman Domingo, who has said that he'd love to do other things with the Marvel. He's like, you can ask. He's even hinted at the idea he might have other things planned. Uh, there would be the downside for me would be this version of Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, already ran across a Norman Osborn born before in a very different scenario. But so there would be there, you would have to kind of address the elephant in the room. It's like I met another version of you, from a different universe. But like it's also like post Secret War, so I don't know who remembers who or whatever.
Right.
Um, and then if you ever turn that Norman Osborn into Green Goblin, like technically Peter already came up with like the cure before, so unless it's a very different version or way of doing things, it feels like because they did it in No Way Home, it would on some level feel like a repeat,
Exactly. I
and you're
agree with
also
that,
gonna
but
directly get comparisons to Willem fucking Dafoe.
Willem
Like,
Dafoe.
come on. Like, do you really want to? I mean, look, it becomes like it's kind of like there's only been one iteration, but it is the iconic definitive iteration. It's like you were trying
Right.
to follow in the footsteps of Heath Ledger, and I mean Jared Leto didn't do a very good job of it. Although then Joaquin Phoenix did it very differently and won an Oscar for it, much like Heath Ledger did. So you would need to really, really do it well, and probably like you said, John, taking in a very different direction. Which Coleman Domingo would be perfect for personally. So
Yes.
yeah,
And with that, I do even odds. Like I could see it happening, but also at the same time, for the reasons you stated and the cons I've stated here,
yeah,
most likely not. But it's still a possibility, you know. Like
yeah.
I want to keep that in mind. Like ever so slightly, ever so slightly. So with that, the next one we have somebody already mentioned it. I think Enterprising already mentioned it, but Spencer Smythe and the Spider Slayers. So with this, I would love to see the Spider Slayers. This is probably one of the biggest villains that has not been done yet. Um, so with that, I think it would be awesome to see the Spider Slayers and Spencer Smythe. Alistair Smythe was like in like 2 seconds of Amazing Spider-Man 2, played by BJ Novak, but like that doesn't fucking count. So fuck that shit. And the reasons I think this could be really good with the rise of AI, this could prove to be a great, formidable threat for Spider-Man. Like Smythe, instead of like using consciousness like he kind of does in the comics, you could make it AI, and that could be a
Mm-hmm.
really interesting, formidable bad guy, and like especially like a fast-moving AI, especially like comic book AI, that could really make it a formidable threat. And the Spider Slayers and Spencer Smythe has never properly been done before on the big screen, which could work to their benefit. A lot of these guys like Rhino and Norman Osborn, we've seen them before. Spider Slayers have never been done before. And guys, come on. Spider-Man battling against an entire army of robots, that just sounds fucking awesome. Who doesn't want to see that? However, there is a bit there are some cons. Using tech against Spider-Man was done in Spider-Man Far From Home, since they, instead of Mysterio being like a special effects guy, in terms
Yeah,
of like more of an illusionist, they made him essentially like a like a CGI VFX kind of guy, which
right.
works for a modern interpretation, but it's like, oh, it's we've kind of done that before, especially with the drones and all that
Yep,
shit. Like
yep.
that's kind of been done
I was gonna say
before.
very similar sounding.
So they might not want to
Yeah.
do that, and the fact that Disney are assholes and are pro AI, so they might not want to do an anti AI movie. So yeah, but I still think this could be great. I think this would be such a fucking cool villain. I think they are still very likely to do, and I think having, instead of just generic drones, like having unique robots that look and feel
Mhm.
different from each other could help that to discern the similarities to Far From Home. So I think I would love to see the Spider Slayers. They would be, I keep almost saying the Spider-Man Slayers. The Spider Slayers would be awesome. um I mean, they could do that. I don't think they do that in the comics, but they could do that. And plus, like, is you have like Mark One, Mark Two, Mark Three, Mark Four. So you have like the robots getting better and better and better. So like, I think that could be a really awesome idea.
I mean, look, to me, the biggest downside is, like I mentioned earlier, Tom Holland's Peter Parker has faced multiple, not just Mysterio. Mysterio is probably the biggest example. He's faced multiple tech-based villains, um, and or like he's solved a lot of his problems using technology. Manner of speaking. This would feel like is going in the same direction, whereas it seems like Marvel Studios has been really trying to make a point of, and Sony by virtue of that they're taking Spider-Man in a different direction. Like they're gonna give him organic webbing. Like that comes out of your arm. Like what? Like it's like imagine if Tom Holland's Peter Parker runs into Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker in Secret Wars. It's like, look, I got one of those. It's like, and mine is like a 3 thing reaction. No, they're gonna have the same finger, thing to activate the spider web. But uh, yeah, that would be the one thing that I would look at is they seem to be pivoting away from that era of Tom Holland Spider-Man, but that doesn't disqualify this as a good pick.
Right.
Uh, yeah, like you said though, there are some downsides in the sense that it kind of feels like some of like people, because again, you got to think of it from the perspective of Marvel Studios, thinking of like the average movie going MCU fan who's not nerding out over this, who doesn't know the comic book history, is gonna immediately draw those comparisons and feel like we've done this before. Even though
Right.
by the time this movie comes out, Spider-Man 5 in the MCU, with Tom Holland, would have been probably as much as maybe 8 years potentially since Spider-Man
Far From Home.
Far From Home, like
Yeah,
maybe even
maybe
longer.
even
So
longer,
like
maybe even a
a
decade.
decade.
So
So it's but still people. Well, I'm just saying, like on some level, it will feel like we have been here and done that,
right. And
and that
with
would be my
that, I
downside.
don't
Yeah.
put it at the top. I like a 6. I think it's likely, especially if they have some more uniqueness there and they discern that it's very different from what Mysterio
Mm-hmm.
did. I think they could make it work and make it work positively. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So let's go back before we get to our honorable mentions. I have Black Suit Spider-Man, more internal conflict than anything, but still an antagonist, still conflict nonetheless. So I decided to include them. Then we have Rhino, smaller villain, maybe a henchman villain to the bigger, actual real villain. They could make that work. Hobgoblin would be amazing. I think that would be definitely my favorite out of these 5. Then Norman Osborn could work, but unlikely. And then the Spider Slayers is probably my next favorite outside of Hobgoblin because I think that would be a great villain to do. But I understand the similarities to Far From Home. So in terms of our honorable mentions, the 3 that I have are ironically brothers. Well, the first and third one are, but
I was gonna
Chameleon
say.
never been properly done in terms of fighting Spider-Man,
Mhm.
major villain that has not fought Spider-Man, probably one of the few major villains that have not been done yet. And then you have the Prowler. I mean, Aaron Davis exists in the MCU, so fucking use him. Childish Gambino is right there.
Yep,
I'm sure he would love to do it,
we saw
and we
him.
would love to see him as the Prowler. And then that could introduce, if you want to do Miles Morales in the MCU, that could introduce Miles Morales. So,
Yep,
boom, kill like 3 birds with 1 stone right there. So,
yep.
and Craven the
Not
Hunter,
literally, but yeah.
I would love to see him properly adapted. Do Craven's Last Hunt. That would be awesome. Lovely to see. But the reason that they're honorable mentions is that these are the least likely because Chameleon and Craven the Hunter were literally in the Craven the Hunter movie. So I think Kevin Feige might want to distance himself from that. And Prowler, most people forgot that he fucking existed. So even though, oh my God, Donald Glover, he's too old to play Miles Morales, so let's make him Aaron Davis. But I still would like to see Prowler. I think that would be really awesome to see because it just does so much in regards to like the character. Like, cool, we see Donald Glover in a suit. He's a villain, but hey, it works. And then you can introduce Miles Morales down the line if you want to replace Peter Parker
And
as Spider-Man, since
like
Tom Holland won't want to do this forever.
yeah,
So
like Prowler can also work like as a secondary villain.
yes.
Like you don't need him to be. He could be like the Scarecrow in a movie, like the Scarecrow of Batman Begins, where Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows were the main villains. You could do a similar approach here, where Prowler isn't the main antagonist, but he's one of
Uh-huh.
the secondary ones. Yeah, Chameleon would be nice to see because that's somebody most people wouldn't have ever even heard of the character. I mean, heck, most people probably never heard of the Prowler character. I think a lot of people probably forgot that they had Childish Gambino in those first couple of movies, or
And
like
now
what
that
the
I'm looking at
significance of
it,
the
the
character was.
original look for Prowler, that's essentially just Red Hood but purple.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yep.
like looking at it, it's just Red Hood. And
Yep.
I'm talking about the Joker's, well, the character that the Joker claimed he was, Red
Hmm.
Hood, not the Jason Todd Red Hood. Anyway, but yeah,
Right.
good stuff.
All right. And then, of course, Craven the Hunter, John. Everyone wants to see Craven's Last Hunt adapted. Oh, yeah. That would be an epic, epic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Enterprise. Nobody gives a fuck about Miles Warren. Come on. Nobody cares about the Jackal.
I honestly, if they, because by the way, one of the things you pointed out that the reasons why they might not do some of these characters, like the Hunter or Craven the Hunter and Chameleon, is because they already did them in the Sony Spider-Man movies that were connected to the MCU. I'm gonna say, given that the recent report that Sony's more willing to share those characters now because they're sort of done making their own movies for a little while, that makes it more likely. Because before, what they would do is they would hold back some characters and be like, "We're gonna have plans for them, but like you can have these characters." Now there's not that conflict there anyway. So to me, I would imagine Craven the Hunter might have been off the table before, but now maybe is available. And I would love to see if they did bring in again Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was Quicksilver, but multiverse, Secret Wars, blah blah blah. Like let him have a redemption story, story. Not the same or not the same version of Craven the Hunter, but let's see another kind of like with J.K. Simmons. He's still playing J. Jonah Jameson in the MCU like he did in the Sam Raimi movies. I would love to see Aaron Taylor Johnson take on the role once again, and except this time, for a version that's actually menacing and doesn't feel super bland and forgettable. Although some of the really good moments in that Craven the Hunter movie were like the fight sequences. So yeah, maybe something to work with. Maybe it wasn't entirely a disaster. But good honorable mentions. I mean, John, we have a couple, I think, from you guys in the live chat we can pick up. Let's go over what you guys were giving us in terms of your casting choices. Uh, but yeah, all around some great picks. I love that I could get
So in terms
Rhino
of
in
what
there.
others have said, Spider Slayers, which we of
Yeah.
course did here, Hobgoblin, which we did here, Spot. I think yeah, like a smaller
Spot, yeah.
villain that they could have made that work.
Which, by the way, the third Spider Verse movie hopefully would have been out by the time Spider Man 5 comes out.
Yes, Hydro
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, maybe again as a henchman villain. Like he's not really
Hmm.
that big of a villain.
Like Mole Man in the Fantastic Four, like you could have him
Yeah,
as a secondary villain. Yeah.
Morlun, that would introduce like the actual Spider-Verse saga, like the comic accurate Spider-Verse saga, so it's unlikely Morlun would ever get
Hmm.
done. Didn't mean to rhyme, but hey, poet didn't even know it. I would like to see Silver Sable. I think that could again like keep the train of the female villain since Sadie Sink
Hmm.
seems to be a villain, so
Hmm.
Silvermane, I'm not as familiar with Silvermane, so sure, yeah, they could work. Roxxon, yes, they did tease Roxxon with the whole doorman
And dude,
thing in Wonder Man.
We haven't seen
So,
Roxanne be teased since, or be mentioned since like the Marvel TV of old days, like Agents of Shield and Captain Carter
oh, I
had.
never watched Agent
But like,
Carter.
it's also like it's dubious how canonical those shows are anymore at this point. But
Yeah,
I think that would have been, yeah,
Craven,
a
we
great
got
mention.
that. Chameleon, horrifically spelled wrong, got that. No, Jackal is just like too
Jackal.
weird of a villain and not
I
really
was like, are you
terribly
talking about like
interesting.
the Day of the Jackal, like the Eddie Redmayne like remake show that's getting a second season?
No,
I didn't.
well, it's a. I mean, the Jackal could be an interesting character, but it's just like, it also brings in like Clone Saga stuff, and I don't think people want to see that.
Mm,
So, Crime Master, yeah, I mean, Hammerhead could be an interesting one.
yeah,
Man Mountain, yeah, Silvermane is like kind of like a crime head kind of guy, so that could be definitely interesting. But yeah,
yeah.
good stuff.
Regent was part of the Secret War storyline. Okay.
Yeah. Um, cockroach villain, man. You could like there was literally a
Oh my
guy who
god.
like got spilled with like toxic waste, and he merged into a
Yeah.
wall and became the wall. like he was just like this guy who
The
had arms
comics
and
are
legs and he was a
crazy.
wall. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's fucking insane. Like
it's wild. Just about anything you can think of, there's probably been a character like that in the comics, whether it's Spider-Man or otherwise. So yeah, but that's a great fan casting all around. Some amazing picks, and some spectacular hits. So hopefully we'll get to see a few of them make their debuts in Spider-Man 5. Sin Eater, yeah, that's another one. Okay. Uh, oh, we got figure drawing here. Paste Pot Pete
yeah,
comes to mind.
sure.
But we were also talking about like how realistic is it to see any of these actually show
Right.
up. Spider-Man 5, they're gonna have a handful of villains in Spider-Man Brand New Day, so I can only imagine if they're gonna stay in the same direction. But again, like they did it in the Dark Knight trilogy really well, where they would have multiple Batman villains, but they weren't all the main villain of the movie. So we know they're
Right.
gonna have multiple villains in Spider-Man, but they're all
Like
not gonna
Bane,
be.
for instance.
Obviously you're joking, but like yeah. Oh,
Well,
I see what
Bane
you
for
mean.
Batman and Robin, but not
Oh, that
Bane.
Bane.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yes, in that
Yeah,
instance,
your
you
favorite
are right.
Batman movie. Come on, Dan.
My favorite not good Batman movie, but it's so bad it's good Batman movie. Come on now,
Yes. But
allow me to
speaking
break
of
the
so bad
ice.
it's good Batman movies, we got to talk about our poll for Tier List Tuesday, because that's what we do on Fancast Friday. We tease the other show. So we do have to introduce a Tier List Tuesday topic, and we did have a bunch DC Alfred actors, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. That's been part of this one the past couple weeks, so we included that here, as well as celebrate Black History Month. We decided to include Black superheroes, Black Panther, John Stewart, Blade, plenty
Static
to do,
Shock,
plenty to rank.
Black Lightning.
Black Lightning, Static, lots of lightning based heroes for whatever reason. And then since like you guys gave us so many suggestions, we're like, why don't we do more comic book movie opening scenes? So boom, we have that.
20
And
more.
then
We're gonna double the goodness.
in addition to, of course, family.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Fast and Furious movies, that'll be all Dan. That's going to be only Dan. I have not seen a single Fast and Furious movie, so that'll be all you.
I've seen
so
every single one but Fast X, and I've seen it in parts. I have to see the whole thing, but I will gladly watch it for that tier list Tuesdays.
Yes.
Yeah.
So get pumped. I mean, Fast and Furious has the lead so far, but who knows if that'll keep the lead, because Wonder Woman director for the longest time always had the lead, and then it got overtaken by something else. So we'll have to wait and see in regards to that. But that is it for Fancast Friday. We have Spider-Man 5 villains. Please leave any other villains you'd like to see, some weird villains that I didn't even come close to mentioning, in the comments below if you have any others. So thank you thanks Enterprising God. You just so many. Spider-Man has a great rogues gallery, not gonna lie. Up there with Batman, definitely. But that is it for the Fancast Friday. Thank you all for watching.
Oh, hey, Steven. Oh, yeah, Super Bowl wings. Yeah, I'm going to be ordering a bunch because...
yeah, the winning team is
yeah.
going to get rings. We're going to get wings.
Well,
I
hopefully
used
the
to have a
Patriots
really
will
good
win.
wing place near me, but then
So-
it fucking closed. I'm still pissed about it.
I'm just gonna do Buffalo Wild Wings. And
I don't have a
get
Buffalo
bunch.
Wild Wings near me.
Or
I don't even have a Wingstop near me.
Really?
Yeah, none. Lame.
Well,
I don't
that's
think I even have any
unfortunate, but,
decent chicken places near me. It's sad.
Dude, oh,
I know. I'm
gonna
sad.
need to.
Like that's like
I'm
the
gonna-
one
I'm gonna
thing
bring you some
I would
wings.
watch the Super Bowl for is wings.
You know what I'm gonna do? I since I know your address, because for tax purposes, I might like look up and see like if I can get you some wings delivered or something. But
Yeah, some poor delivery man like an hour away has to fucking come to my house.
like it's fine. You just gotta throw them in the microwave and then they're good to go.
Hopefully it doesn't spit in my food.
I don't think. I mean, they usually have a seal on it so that you don't, it's verified that it didn't open it.
But yeah, thank you
Oh
guys
man, that's
for all these wonderful
yeah.
suggestions. Enjoy the Super Bowl, enjoy the Puppy Bowl. We'll hopefully get a better sneak peek for Supergirl than we did for last year with Superman.
I hope to learn from that whole, because I mean,
anyway.
anyway.
But thanks all for watching. Leave any Spider-Man villains you want to see down below.
Yeah.
Any movies you see, comment down below. DC.
I mean, of course, any other ideas for Fancast Friday next week?
Any more ideas for Fancast Friday? We want to see those, definitely.
Yeah. And like we could definitely do like a Lobo movie director.
Yeah,
that's
Lobo
one
movie
option,
director
because
would
George
definitely be
Miller
good.
was somebody we brought up. But then yeah, if you have any other ideas for Fancast Friday options, topic options, we'll put them in the poll.
Let us know.
One more reminder, we do, of course, and we have the Tier List Tuesday poll up now. You guys can find it. Where to go? It's right there on the screen, but it's also in the live chat. It's also in the description of the video if you're not watching live. Of course, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out if you can, please.
All right, Enterprising, we get it. Jesus fucking Christ. You know a lot of Spider-Man villains. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
Hit subscribe if you're new. I know there's a lot of you guys who watch, but you haven't subscribed yet. So we do appreciate it. It helps us out. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. And if you are watching the Super Bowl, if you're not able to watch because you're working like Enterprising, hey, well, just find some time for yourself, relax over the weekend, and enjoy the next couple of days. We'll be back on Monday, DCU Daily, Tuesday, DCU Daily, and Tier List Tuesday, and then next Friday with DCU Daily, Fancast Friday. We are in the month of February, which means we have a couple of more weeks with this lighter schedule, but starting in March, we're back 5 days a week on DCU Daily, alongside Tier List Tuesday and Fancast Friday. So we'll see you on Monday. It's gonna be fun. John, it's been an up and down week. I just wanted to one more time, feeling the loss of Zelda. It's if you haven't already, definitely send your condolences to Fiona, FionaC.org. Zelda's mommy misses her, and I do too. Everybody does. But we'll keep her in mind and celebrate her next week as well. So with that said, have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Can't wait to see the commercials and what comes out of that. I've already seen some of the early ones. John, that does it for us. Fancast Friday. We out.
Hell yeah. And remember, fuck Tom King and fuck Jeff Snyder.